January 19th, 2022 meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are we going to be seeing Mr. Carnahan?
He's online.
He's there?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
John Foreman, are you there?
He's there, he's muted.
Okay. Let's go on.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Desbauer? Present. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Wilkening?
Here.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Deutmeyer?
Here.
Ms. Murr? Here. Ms. Abernathy? Present.
Okay, thank you. We need some clarification on nomination to appoint the appointment of officers. We need a little do another revote or a nomination for the secretary. They would like to make a motion for the secretary.
I'll make a motion for Rick Sharp.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heather. Motion by Mr. Kapora. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Continue.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Desbauer? Yes. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Minutes, April 21, 2021, public meeting, May 5th, 2021, work session, November 29th, 2021, special work session, December 15th, 2021, public meeting and January 3rd, 2022, special public meeting and work session. Do I have a motion for all or any of those to be approved?
I'll make a motion. I'm sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Heather,
Second.
second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Desbauer? Yes. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries. Agenda item number 3, Franciscan Cedar Lake Health Center site plan, owner R&M Thibault and Associates Incorporated, P.O. Box 1313, Lafayette, Indiana. Petitioners Tunnel Blank Construction, 1623 Greenwood Avenue, Michigan City. Vicinity 6831 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioners requesting a site plan approval for a 1,500 square foot addition. Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ross Warner, 21886 South, 800 West, La Crosse, Indiana, 46348.
Okay. Is that microphone on?
It sounded like.
You hear me? Yeah. Oh, he's there. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is for the clinic on 133rd, and this addition is going to be on the east side.
Correct.
Okay. Don, anything else about this that we need to know?
All comments have been addressed. We recommend a waiver from stormwater detention since it's already provided. And I think the total square footage on the new impervious is 3,800 square feet, so it's really small.
And this provided retention is to the west of this property?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody Zooming have any questions about this item?
No.
Okay. Building department? Anything? Okay. Seemed pretty straightforward. Heather, John, anything?
Nothing.
No? Mr.
No.
Sharp? All good? Okay. Mr. Foreman, Mr. Becker, any questions?
No.
No? Okay. All right, this is a request for a site plan approval. Would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the petition requesting site plan approval for 1,500 square foot addition.
A motion by Mr. Kapora for an approval. Second.
I'll second.
Second.
Second by Heather. Roll call, please.
Mr.
Yes,
Carnahan?
hang on. Yes,
Can we include the waiver on the stormwater, please, in your motion?
yes, would you amend your motion?
Yes, I'll amend it to waiver on stormwater.
Thank you.
Heather?
And I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yeah.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepfauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're all good. Have a good night. Item four, Black River Bells LLC preliminary plat for one lot subdivision and site plan. Owners ARDT 3 LLC 8205 Sterling Falls Circle, Sarasota, Florida. Petitioners Black River Bells LLC, Kensington Court, Brighton, Michigan. The vicinity is 11109 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioners requesting preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision and site plan. Good evening.
Good evening, Tim Kraus, I represent Black River Bells, and I have Jeremy Wagner from Architectural on Zoom. Should we have any questions?
Okay. Do you have any comments at this moment?
Nope, I think from my understanding that Jeremy worked with Mr. Olfint, and I think we satisfied all the comments.
Okay. Don?
Yeah, we issued a letter today, actually, so it was a little quick, but with the holiday and I was out on Friday, it's kind of just the way it was. I think they're still working on the ingress egress through Ed's. Do you have a status update on that?
The cross-access agreement with CVS was denied.
Okay, but what about Ed?
Oh, yeah. That-
Here's the
let's-
Ed.
Let's keep this separate.
Ed's?
Yeah,
No, nothing with Ed.
Nothing with that?
Nothing with Ed's, no.
okay.
Okay, did you misunderstand? Because this was with Ed's, it was never with CVS,
Yeah,
from my
with Ed.
understanding.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I thought we were, well, I know we.
I had a hunch you were going nowhere with CVS,
Right, yeah.
but the Tom and Ed's property seemed, probably feasible, and, if there is a motion made on this, we probably should make sure that, there is no access there until there's some access agreement and an approval by,
Yeah, I mean, right now they show access to it, I mean, there's existing access now. So, but there is no formal agreement, from what I understand, that's in place to allow it.
so, Mr. Deutmeyer, if this, business gets put in and they start using that, is that between them and the private property owner?
Let me take a peek at this real quick. So there's no direct access on the property?
No, there is access, you can, here, I'll show you here. Alright, if you wanna look at this.
It's around the east side of CVS building.
Yeah, so there's current access to it. It's actually the only ingress, onto a public, to a public street currently. But there is no cross-access agreement with the new owner and the current owner of this parcel.
So is this, the Taco Bell parcel, is that gonna have any access directly into 41?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right in, right out.
But they are maintaining the access to Ed, with a 25-foot access path.
So a secondary access point, you're saying?
Yep.
Alright, and what's your question, Jerry?
My question is,
Page 10 of your, if I just wanna look at it.
is an approval of this and the public start using that property of Tom and Ed's, is that between the business owner and Tom and Ed's? Because we're inviting traffic by,
Yeah, I mean, I would say
By
that
not-
if
by
there's
not
gonna be
creating-
approval given, that no approval be given for the use of access through that particular channel unless and until there's a cross-access agreement. I mean, we don't wanna be a part of that.
and that should be in the motion?
Yes. I mean, if you even want to entertain that, I mean, the alternative obviously is to,
If there's a cross-access agreement, should that be brought back here for approval?
I would say that it at least needs to be brought before you guys if your motion is contingent upon denying access to that particular portion until there's a cross-access agreement in place, then yes.
Okay.
But we certainly don't want to be a part of any dispute between them and Tom and Ed.
I just,
Yeah.
I need to hear you say it.
I mean, the other they're still working on addressing, but that can be addressed at final plat. If it's gonna be addressed off of 133rd or 41, most likely 41 if we don't have that cross access.
Well, that's how it's advertised.
Yeah. But the
No, it
plat,
isn't. No, it isn't.
yeah,
It's advertised on
it's
133rd.
currently addressed off 133rd now. It most likely will be changed to 41.
That's not gonna work.
You don't have frontage on 133rd, how the heck is it addressed
Well,
on 133rd?
Because currently it's, the only access
part
is
of
off
Tom Head.
133rd. There is no direct access right now off 41.
Oh, because that was all part of the parking lot
Yeah,
originally.
it was all part of that parcel.
Garage.
Yeah, so that's why. So, there's that, we have a small sidewalk, comment. They need to provide some shop drawings for their small retaining wall, and then O&M manual needs to be signed.
Where is that 4-foot, wall located?
South side of their property, Bob.
right.
Adjacent to the chiropractor there.
So the, site plan, fairly good with, other than this
Pretty.
cross-access.
It's pretty tight, yeah.
Okay. Any of the Zoomers have any questions?
I would say if they don't have a legal way to get on or off the property, if anything got approved, then we would just act like that's not even part of this. And if they someday get it, they would come back and ask for us to agree.
Yeah, I agree, John. I agree. Building department, any questions?
No, I would just make sure you note January 19th letter in any motion made on your site plan.
Okay. Mr. Sharp? Anything?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Nothing?
John, nothing? Okay. I guess then, I would entertain a motion for the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision and a site plan to include Don's January 19th letter and to include what Mr. Dortmeyer advised us to include regarding the access to the Tom and Ed's property. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, to approve the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision and site plan, which will include Don's letter of January 19, 2022. And access will be only off of, Wicker Avenue, Route 41, right in and right out. No access, will be allowed through the east side of the property out through Tom and Ed's. If they should obtain an agreement from Tom and Ed or the property owner, they should come back before us for approval of that exit.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp.
Yeah,
So you're talking, yeah, because is this for the plat or for the site plan?
Yeah, I think there should be two separate motions.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a
So we get preliminary plat first.
Yeah.
preliminary plat and.
Well, I think they want us to do it separate.
Let's do preliminary plat first. Your motion stand?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Okay, roll call please on a preliminary plat.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
John Foreman, you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Steph
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries. Anyone like to make a motion regarding the one-lot subdivision and site plan approval?
I'll make the motion for, to approve the, site plan. Which would include also Don's letter of January 19th, 2022, and also, the other comments made in the preliminary plat approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Capora. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepstower?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
You too.
Item 5, Schilling Distribution Preliminary Plat, owner Lake County LBM LLC, 8900 Wicker Avenue, St. John. Schilling Development, or petitioner, Schilling Development, 8900 Wicker Avenue, St. John. The vicinity is 10501 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Slater with Schilling Development. We are here tonight requesting a preliminary plat for the one-lot subdivision for the existing Cedar Lake Distribution Center that will allow us to apply for a building permit for our proposed addition. I believe we have advertised for the public hearing for tonight, so we would request that we hold the public hearing and see if there's any comments on that. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We were originally going to ask or request that we do a preliminary plat and waive the rules and do a final plat tonight at the same meeting. But rather than doing that, we're going to ask for primary plat approval tonight with the condition, or I guess with the contingency that is contingent upon the new town ordinance being passed prior to the final plat, that we would come back in 30 days, and it's my understanding that that time frame would work with the new ordinance.
If it gets approved tonight.
Is that on tonight also?
It is on tonight.
All right, so, yeah, so if it would be contingent upon the new ordinance, which would then allow us to front on a non-public street. So that'll be done
And
before our
this
final.
has to do with Broadway not being a public street.
Not Broadway, Industrial Drive.
Industrial.
I'm sorry, Industrial Drive, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our concerns kind of go away when the new language in the new zoning ordinance gets approved, but can't do that until.
So if we're conditioned on that, and then we come back in 30 days and do our final plat, it should all be legit by then.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's, yeah.
before you sit down, Mr. Deutmeyer, anything on the legals on this? right now?
Everything's in order for the
Everything's in order?
publication.
Okay. All right. Mr. Slager, have a seat real quick. I'll ask for any remonstrance for or against the Schilling Development, the addition to the warehouse. Any remonstrance for or against this? Okay, remonstrance is closed. Do you have anything else, Mr. Slager?
No.
Okay.
That's it.
Don?
No, we just kind of tabled this until we got to the zoning ordinance. Our December 23rd letter still stands, but as we progress and approve the zoning ordinance, those things kind of go away.
Okay, Building Department.
No, as Don reported, this is in addition to the building, no improvements on enlarging the parking lot.
Okay, did the commissioners have any questions?
No,
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
Okay, would
I
anyone?
do not.
So I guess, Jack, just to clarify, you will front off Industrial Drive, but your address will still remain off 133rd, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, this is for a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision approval. Anyone like to make a motion?
Any motion be contingent on approval of the zoning ordinance?
Anyone?
Make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision contingent on, what is contingent on, Don?
Is it a favorable recommendation to the council for the zoning ordinance, or is it just an approval through this body?
The zoning ordinance has to go to the town council for
Okay,
final
So it'd be,
approval.
and then a favorable
Upon
recommendation.
adoption
Yeah, upon adoption, yeah,
of this.
that'd be better.
Contingent on a favorable recommendation to the town council
And adoption.
and adoption.
adoption.
And adoption.
adoption.
Okay,
Just adoption.
okay. Does anyone, everybody understand the motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stephenweiler?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, carries.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Cedar View preliminary plat. This is for a two-lot subdivision and the site plan. Owner James and Samantha Brooker, 17316 Camelot Drive, Lowell. Vicinity 7936 Lake Shore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a two-lot subdivision and a site plan. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jim Brooker, 17316 Camelot Drive, Lowell, Indiana. We are here this evening requesting a preliminary plat for a two-lot subdivision and a site plan.
Okay. We've all been exposed to this for quite some time. As I look through the 23 pages of minutes, I'm quite clear on what we're doing here, I think. Does anyone have any questions about this right now? The site plan does include the pork chop, if I can use the slang.
Does?
Does? Okay. Does anyone know how many waivers the BZA gave for this property, so it would work out, Don, if you recall?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. This started out with being a Domino's and Dunkin' Donut. That was for Doug, your designer. As I get to the end of the minutes, it could be any B3 business with a drive-through. Personally, that's concerning. However, Don, everything...
B2 business.
I'm sorry, B2, yes. Don,
Yeah, B2.
everything's done except that one electrical item that's been outstanding?
Yeah, it's just electrical. Typically, we kind
It's
of,
on your original report though, right?
yes.
Okay, all right. So, this is certainly meets our minimum requirements. We have no commitment for any of the reasonable requests or anything else. So, I would invite a motion. If nobody has any other questions. Mr. Dortmeyer, anything? No, all good? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Sharon? Yes.
any motion should include Don's January 10th letter,
Okay, thank you.
including the waiver of sidewalk along the parcel's frontage. MS4 fee, those items are noted in his January 10th letter.
Why was the sidewalk on?
There's, yeah, I mean, the grades and the way the lighting was placed on Lakeshore Drive, it's just, it wouldn't work. And there's sidewalk on the other side, so, and crossing to get to that sidewalk up at the roundabout.
Okay, so,
And this is like the last one, Commissioner. We have two separate things, right, the plat and the site plan.
okay,
So we don't have confusion on the motion.
yes, two separate motions. We'll do the preliminary plat first. Any other questions on this property? This can be any B2 business. Started out with 2 drive-throughs and now we're down to 1. So, would anyone like to make a motion on the preliminary plat for a 2-lot subdivision? Any Zoomers like to make a motion on the preliminary plat only for for a two-lot subdivision to include Don's January 10th letter.
I'll make a motion for a preliminary plat for two-lot subdivision, but regarding also including Don's letter on January 10th.
We have a motion by Mr. Becker. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heather Dessauer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
My vote is yes, I'm good with the two-lot subdivision.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries. The second motion needs to be regarding the site plan. And Don, I asked Don if the, what we're calling the directional concrete divider, a pork chop, it's included on the site plan. It is there.
Yeah, if you go to page 16 of your iPad, you can see it there.
Page 16 of the iPad.
Zoom in with entrance there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Mr. Dormeyer, do we have to go through the right in and right out and all that stuff? This is pretty well hashed out in all the other.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, as long as the site plan accurately reflects what you guys have discussed before, if there's any other contingencies or changes, then that should be incorporated.
So page 16, Don, that's right in and right out, very clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, there's arrows that point in and out, for right in, right out.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion regarding the site plan for this property?
Joe?
Jill, sorry.
Sorry, one comment, just
Yeah.
to note on your site plan, it is one drive-through.
Yeah.
Originally, we had started with two many months ago, so I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everyone can see that.
And some of the details that were discussed in the minutes from the planning commission were designated at the BZA for certain things, so I
And
think we're,
I would just make a reference that the sheet 16 or whatever, 15, I think I said 16, it's not the most current one, but it's just, there was a change of radius on there. So I would just reflect our letter that has the current one and the items submitted.
still your January 10th letter, or you
Yep.
do January
January
8th?
10th. January 10th. It references the correct sheet C 2.0. It's the minor tweak we made.
The radius of the pork chop?
The radius of the outside right turn, just to widen it out so they didn't clip.
Oh, I got you.
Just basically reflect the right end. It's about the same thing.
And what letter, this is your letter for when?
January 10th.
January 10th.
Yeah, it's labeled on.
Does anyone understand what Don's talking about? Everybody good? Okay. All right, would anyone like to make a motion regarding the site plan? To include Don's letter, January 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan, based on, Don's letter of January 10th.
Okay, Mr. Sharp has made a motion. Anyone like to second?
I'll second it, Bob Carnahan.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Unlike the Taco Bell, where we have a right in, right out on a flat, straight road, whereas if somebody were to hit the brakes and try to be illegal, we have a blind corner here, so my vote is no.
Okay.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Mr. Kapura?
No.
Mr. Wilkening?
No. Okay. Mr. Dortmeyer, where do we go from here?
You're gonna need another motion then.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a well? Would anyone like to make another motion? I don't know what we're,
I know it's complicated to make a west entrance of some sort, but I would make a motion for approval of the site plan contingent on the January 10th letter, as well as contingent on a west entry from somewhere within the roundabout.
okay, Mr. Foreman's made a motion to include a west entrance.
What was the count on the last one? Just saying.
4?
3-4.
3-4.
3 to 4. 3 yeses, 4 noes.
So what do we need?
Mr. Dort, where we need another?
You don't have action then.
Yeah,
Right?
we
Your
have no-
action right now is to
Okay.
not
Yeah.
approve that motion.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Foreman's made another motion to include a west entrance. Would anyone like to second that? Going once? Anyone?
Haven't we gone rounds about this west entrance?
Oh, this is not a design meeting. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like I said, there's been, a lot of giving here to make this, make everything fit. So, we have no motion. John's motion will die, I guess. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. President. Why are we voting, I'm sorry. We complied to everything that you requested. I'm not sure what the no is at this point.
Well, that's what,
I mean, I asked the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, what we needed to do. I spent more money to have the Fort Chuck put in, and everybody seemed like that was a favorable resolution to what you asked for. I did that.
I mean,
There's a
frankly, I
pizza
need
place.
clarity as well.
There's a pizza place that was there for many years that supported this town.
okay.
There's a nice apron that you guys put in when you did the roundabout. Given anyone that wanted to buy that property an indication that there was no problem, it's owned correctly. We sat down with your design team in February of last year. We went, like you said, this is a year coming. I've watched Taco Bell come in here, and in probably, less than a couple meetings, got full approval tonight. And not having everything, I'm not sure how after all these meetings, and I'm talking to you guys, and you tell me what you need, and we go and do it, and now we're getting a no this evening. That's very hard to digest and understand at this point in time.
Mr. Deutmeyer, is now the time for an explanation on these no votes? I mean,
Technically, you don't even have to give them the opportunity to speak, right? We're in the process of voting. You
Okay.
entertained him.
Okay.
I don't,
That's fine.
I mean, a vote is a vote, whether it's yes or no, or up or down.
yeah.
I guess that maybe, okay, I don't get opportunity to speak, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean,
I guess
how do we
so.
move forward?
I feel that we're supposed to be giving these petitioners the information they need on what they need to do, and it seems like we're not doing that with this one business.
Well, there's been a lot of information, Bob, 23 pages of minutes. And I went through them briefly today just with a highlighter, just to get familiar and create a summary in my head, because this has been going on a long time. And,
Yeah, but what do we have to do to approve this?
well, it's not up to us to design it, and, we're not gonna get hashed through this, in a meeting. This probably should be, taken to a work session, if that's what we're inclined to do.
This came through many work sessions with you.
I understand, but obviously, there's 4 of us who, have some, feelings that are not favorable to the site plan. The preliminary plat for a 2-lot subdivision seems good with everybody. Mr. Deutmeyer, do I solicit another motion, or what do we do here?
Yeah, I mean, you can solicit another motion. If we can't get something that the board can take action on, then there's gonna be no action, and de facto gets deferred.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Foreman, can I ask you what the difference is between this write-in and write-out and the Taco Bell write-in, write-out?
Yeah, absolutely. That was addressed to me, right, Heather?
Correct.
Yeah, just a blind corner, Heather, that's all. You know, on US 41, if somebody's going south and decides to make a left turn, you've got a lane on the right to pass the person, you've got a median, even though in about a year or two, that'll be gone completely. It won't be able to cut across, but then you have another 2 lanes plus a shoulder. And in this case, you're coming out around a roundabout, 3 or 4 cars stopped, they're backed up, somebody's saying, hey, even though there's a no left turn, even though, you know, they're not supposed to be turning in there, they're gonna hit the brakes and whip in there, and now there's cars coming, so they're gonna stop. And it's just gonna cause a rear end accident, that's all. And a little kid could get, I mean, it's an accident waiting to happen from in my opinion, as I've mentioned many times. So, I mean, 2 businesses today, both being carry-out businesses, great. 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years down the road, those getting sold and they're a different business, we have accidents here weekly, especially around, you know, rush hour time. That's just my...
John, what was your motion to go with the west? I didn't understand that.
Oh, sure, Bob. Essentially, I just said, motion to approve contingent on adding some sort, and again, some sort means it's kind of wide open, of entrance, so that if you're coming from the north or the west, you're able to get into the parking lot. I do realize that with the amount of grading that he wants to do, it could be a challenge, but I feel as though that's the solution.
How is that gonna change the right in, right out?
It's not, it's gonna.
Because then you can get in coming from the west, that's all.
It's gonna avoid anybody taking.
I don't wanna change the right in,
That's-
and I don't wanna change it right out. I wanna make it a second entry from the west or the north.
Okay.
Meaning, just that.
Jill, we're gonna have fresh set of eyes here soon, aren't we? Does it look that way, as far as a town manager? With a lot of-
Okay, after your next work session, when he begins.
Oh, okay. All right. Don, any thoughts from Mr. Brooker?
No, I mean, I think it's become a policy decision about what you want to see here.
Okay. All right.
I'm just really.
John, do you wanna make that motion again?
Well, I can tell you, it would be, I mean, I'm fine with it being just for cars. We don't need his semis, they're gonna be delivering, you know, goods to be able to use this entrance. But I just feel like if I'm coming from the north, a person should be able to go around the roundabout and then sneak their way in. And I know it's gonna be a challenge, sir, in front of your house, and or wherever you decide to make that happen, but I just feel as though you have a full-blown, 110% rock-solid plan with a west and or north entrance, if you will.
Okay, John, Bob asked you to make that motion again, and I would,
I'd be happy to make the same motion. The motion would be, approval based on, Don's January 10th letter as well as, approval for the site plan approval, that is, and, based on the January 10th letter and some sort of entrance from the west.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
We got a motion for, site plan approval, yeah?
Well, the issue here is, the site plan is what we have, right? I understand what John's saying, and what the motion is.
We're saying we can't vote on something that we don't have in front of us.
How can you approve something that's sort of
Okay.
ambiguous?
Yeah, you guys, John, Bob, you understand what Mr. Deutmeyer's talking about?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to, there's no other questions or comments from the commission, building department or anybody else? No?
Well, I'll ask another question.
Sure.
If,
Well, before you do that, is the motion still on the floor? Because we have a motion and a second.
No, you guys retract, would one of you like to retract your motion? Or both?
I was gonna just keep it, you know, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, by making the motion contingent upon a west entrance, I would imagine we would have to agree on where that west entrance is. And is that your hang up with not liking the contingency?
Well, the hangup is, you're moving to approve the site plan. The site plan that we have in front of us doesn't have any reference to a western entrance. We don't know where it would be, what it would look like,
Yeah,
what the engineering would be.
We're voting on it, we'd be voting on an imaginary entrance at this point. A concept.
Yeah, but wouldn't the contingency be allowed based on engineering approval of a west entrance? We added that to the contingency?
Don, are you
I'm just
comfortable?
trying to help them out so we can move forward.
A pretty heavy contingency, we know
Yeah,
there's,
John, I'm not sure Don's, real comfortable with that. I'm not,
Got it.
I'm not gonna speak
I don't even
for
know
him,
if
but go ahead.
I don't even know if it's possible.
Okay.
So, with where the house sits now, there's a garage that probably would be torn down, and we're dropping 10 feet. You know, it would be a pretty substantial change to what we have in front of us now, to even make it possible.
All right. Well, we seem to be, kind of, stuck here with this.
So do we have clarity on this motion, is it still standing?
Would, John and Bob, would you guys like a vote on your motion of concept, or would you like to retract those, which is advisable by, legal?
Based on legal, I will go ahead and retract mine. I was just trying to move the thing along.
I understand, thank you. We have a,
I'll withdraw mine because I'm just tired of us dragging our feet on this, approval.
okay. Okay, so the motions are withdrawn. Does anyone have another motion?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I truly feel, and I said this a month ago, we have to give this gentleman direction. So from the nose, what's the direction at this point? Short of coming back to the next work session, or waiting until the town manager comes? There has to be something.
I don't know. We voted for the preliminary plat, and, everybody's good with that, and everybody's not good with the site plan. So, Mr. Brooker's heard our concerns over the months,
We've addressed them.
and, discussed many of them.
Mr. Wilken, a month ago in our work session, or not even in the work session, everybody up here said, even John, made a comment that if I put a pork chop in, you'd be okay with it.
Well,
And we did that. I spent more money and put the pork chop in. It's in the meeting minutes. It's in the meeting minutes, and everybody said that if you put that in, we would be approving it and we'd be okay with it. And that's exactly what was said. And we did that based on what you made comment. And here we are, another month, and there's more issues with this.
well, there's
You
no,
guys gave us we received 7 variances roughly. I believe it was 7 or 8 variances that we received in order to get this project in, leading us to believe that we were all gonna be moving forward. I'm not sure how we are at this point. I don't understand.
Well-
I mean, thank you, Heather, for making that comment. That comment is
we've discussed many things here, regarding this property, and, there's 4 of us that obviously feel, this is not the rock-solid plan. And,
Well,
for us
what
to
was the
design it for you,
I don't want you to design it. You said, if I told you I was gonna put a 3 unit in, you'd probably say, well, it'd be absolutely no. But if I said if we put a 1 unit, that property's sitting there. It's zoned, per your, town codes. What would you like to see done with that property?
well, that's the other side of this. We can't do that. We don't suggest from the other side. That's just, that's a legality.
Well, we need to tell them what to do. If there was no drive-through, does that change the picture here, folks? What if it's proved there's no drive-throughs? Then does that change it, meaning people are going to be pulling in less frequently and parking and staying?
Well,
thus making it
then let's explore
easier to go
that.
either
If
way,
there's
to
no
go from the
drive-through,
west.
Mr. Brooker, is this a dead deal?
No, because the restaurant that's going in there right now guaranteed doesn't have a drive-through, doesn't need a drive-through.
Oh, well, Mr. Foreman, your, question, is it does not need a drive-through. Does not
Right,
need-
so I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm listening to this gentleman for months, and, you know, he bought a property, it was zone B2, there's a business there, right? We all know that. But
Yes.
since that business has been there years ago, we've built a roundabout. Establishing one and/or possibly two restaurants that would be heavily drive-through dependent makes people whipping in there very, very frequently a high probability. Therefore, if it was a sit down, we're gonna come to the restaurant to have a meal, it's the same restaurant it is, let's say, but they've expanded, and they're going to just have a meal and sit down for 35 minutes like a Harry's. Now, me driving down different road to get there so I can enter from the east isn't as urgent as it is, per se, if it's a drive-through. I mean, a Dunkin' Donuts, a Domino's, it's a pickup place and/or they deliver it. So
Okay.
I
so-
guess from a happy medium standpoint, that might change the perspective of, you know, you gotta keep the pork chop, of course, but if you got rid of the drive-throughs, it's not like every person in the morning or afternoon going to pick up a pizza or pick up a coffee in the morning, if it ended up being a Dunkin' Donuts, is gonna be trying to make an illegal left turn.
All right.
So it might change the perspective.
Okay, Mr. Deutmeyer, we could, I could solicit a motion that would eliminate the drive-through, correct?
Subject to whatever review Don would have to do on top of that. I don't know if there is
Okay.
any additional that would need to be done.
Are you still,
Yeah.
Mr. Brooker,
Much more-
would you
more
safely
money.
say that it would still be two businesses? Okay.
What were the BZA videos? Didn't one of them relate to drive-through?
There was a bunch of them, I can't remember. Yes, sir.
Drive-throughs are approved by the Plan Commission
Okay,
as part of, B1. So B2 uses allow B1. It's listed in your zoning ordinance, but anything with a drive-through has to be approved by the Plan Commission.
I guess the, eliminating the drive-through, we just don't know how that would change the parking, do we?
It wouldn't really change the parking at all, I don't think. I mean, you're still gonna have the
Yeah,
circular.
but the
Huh?
capacity inside, I mean, the building's gonna stay the same
You're talking about
size, right?
required parking?
Yeah, required parking.
Joe maybe will speak more to that than I can.
The parking was anticipated based on the two restaurant uses, which are your highest uses for parking. The variances that were approved for the two businesses on one lot, being the first lot that he's proposing these two buildings on. Outdoor dining, not to exceed 6 tables or 4,
Okay.
with the bollards. 30 parking spaces total for the site. Parking in front and side yard setbacks on this particular lot that we are talking. On the other lot, which currently has the home, was the existing home and its use, parking in the front and side yard, and then the existing accessory structure, while non-conforming, we had brought it up that it was going to remain. Those are
Okay.
your items at the BZA, all contingent upon plat approval.
Okay, so, Don, removing the drive-through from the motion.
I don't think it does much to change the site plan. You may opt to take out the concrete pad that goes around it for, you know, the driveway. You may keep it. That doesn't really change anything, no?
Can that be a pickup window, opposed to a drive-through?
That's a policy.
I mean, that would be the one
Like
request.
a walk-up window?
They have, Domino's has a few of those, it's not a drive-through, there's no one ordering and there's no backing up, it's just you go and pick your pizza and.
So you pull off to the right, walk up to the window? and get-
Well, no, you,
Still full round.
Or you go all the way around?
like Aurelio says.
Okay,
That's what I would request that if anything.
but that's, Reload has a drive-through.
I think it's just a pickup window.
Just pick up.
I think it's just pickup.
It's
It
picked.
doesn't have a menu board.
No
or anything,
menu
is
board.
what we're saying.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see how you guys are separated, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
No menu board, no intercom. Effectively, right?
But you're still creating a line of cars.
You know, we got stacking for 14, that's unheard
So,
of.
so eliminating what you're talking about, Don, may not be the best idea.
Well, no, I mean, you essentially would be stacking more in a way. Because think about it, the drive-through, you can actually see on the sheet, the page 15, you have some stacking showing on there.
Yep.
I mean, you're ordering at the right side of, call it that U. If nobody's stopping there to, you know, stack behind it, you're actually queuing right at the window. There'd be no stopping the earlier part of the circle, I guess.
I mean, I eat a lot of Aurelio pizza, and I can tell you I've never seen more than 2 or 3 cars there. It's not like 18 cars are waiting in line, ever.
Yeah, I mean, we can stack
Yeah,
10,
I agree with
12
you.
cars.
And if I order something to go pick up, I'll usually try and go inside to pick it up. I won't,
Yeah.
I'm not interested in.
It sounds to me
going
like
online.
everybody's good with eliminating, let me rephrase that. Sounds to me like eliminating the drive-through is, becoming quite favorable.
But
And
on
then
which
you
side of
board
the
it.
building would you allow the pickup window? I wouldn't allow it on the east
Yeah.
side of the building.
I would allow it on the
It
left.
would stay
It
as
would
a
have to
strong.
be on
Yeah.
the west
Stay
side.
on, it would stay as a strong.
Where it is, okay.
Yeah,
Hold on though. The pickup window would be on the,
northwest side,
Northwest.
Where the
If you could-
drive-through window would
facing
be
the
right now.
facing the residential houses.
so you're going clockwise around the building.
Counter.
Counter.
Counterclockwise.
It would still be as laid out on your site plan if it was a drive-through window. It would just be a pickup window. You'd eliminate the menu boards.
Yes.
So if I'm told at 7 o'clock to pick up my order of whatever my order may be,
I
I'm
got
sorry,
you.
I'm not gonna get there at 6:30 and block that window.
I got you. Okay, would anyone like to, Mr. Foreman, would you like to make a motion, as we've discussed, to eliminate the drive-through?
I just, you guys broke up a bit, did you still keep it a two business lot?
Yes.
Yeah, it would still be a two-business arrangement, but there
I'd be willing to make that motion for, site plan approval, keeping the pork chop, and contingent on engineering checkoff, without, you know, per the letter, without drive-throughs within either business.
Okay.
Favorable.
Okay, we have a motion by John. Does everybody understand the motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know if he heard allowing the pickup window, since he did say
Hey,
he broke up, so was
hey,
he
John
allowing
Foreman?
a pickup window or not?
John Foreman.
Yeah,
There would still be a pickup window from a vehicle, but it's not gonna be a drive-through with a menu board.
yeah, so it'd be like the, Aurelio's up there on US 41.
Yes, just like Aurelio's on 41.
Welcome to the party, John.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
all
just
right.
for the record, the distinction here that you guys are making, so it's clear, is drive-through equals menu board, pickup window is just the window, right? So when you say getting rid of the drive-through, that's eliminating the intercom and the menu board.
I believe so.
You like
Is that
that, Ben?
accurate?
That would be
Okay,
my understanding.
I just wanna make sure that everyone here is clear.
Pickup window's pre-ordered.
No, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if the meeting minutes would be as clear, that's why I just wanna make sure that we all know the difference between a pickup window and a drive-through.
Well, I never thought about it quite that much, when there's cars in line.
I didn't
It's a
either.
drive-through.
I never gave it that much thought until you guys started talking about it.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by, John Foreman. Everybody understand the motion? We have a second by Chuck Becker. So, Ashley, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Bob Carnahan.
Muted right now.
Okay, skip to John.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, we got a yes from
Yeah.
Bob. Got a yes from Bob.
Mr. Foreman?
Yeah.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepfauer?
Enthusiastically, yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
No.
Mr. Wilkenich?
No. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 7, Oak Brook preliminary plat, 80 lot and 2 outlot subdivision, formerly Oakwood Crossing. Owner Cedar Lake Residential LLC, P.O. Box 677, St. John. Petitioner Schilling Development, 8900 Wicker Avenue, St. John. Vicinity, US 41 and 10918 West 129th Avenue. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for an 80 lot subdivision and 2 outlot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing Cedar Lake Residential LLC. We've talked about this one quite a bit too, going back actually 3 years to the PUD approval. At last month's meeting, we held the public hearing, was open and closed, and I believe we were close to ready to get our primary plat approval at the last meeting. There were some outstanding items that they wanted on the engineering. I think the biggest one was the street name, so we've cleaned up a lot of the engineering. I know we got a list last night from Don at about 10 o'clock, so he was working late. And I think we've addressed some of those already today, and we've got a few more, but we're requesting preliminary plat approval contingent on Don's letter from last night.
Okay, Don, how long's the list of things that's not done?
I mean, it looks worse than it is. A lot of it's kinda just engineering minor stuff.
Huh? It's always worse than it is.
No, I mean, Jack Holt and I have talked this morning about pretty much the entire letter. Nothing on here will affect the site plan per se. It's just kind of correcting some minor items throughout. I mean, in all honesty, I want to get this done last week, but just, yeah. It's a big development for sure, but I mean, nothing in our letter really is going to change the site plan really at all. Adjusting some storm sewers here and there, you know, stuff like that.
Change a couple addresses.
Yeah, just shifting some, you know, from the 127th block to 128th block, stuff like that. Small.
So who decides if there's a change to the site plan? Who decides this comes back to, we have to reopen public comment?
Good question.
We've had this question before, and there's nothing in particular stuck in my brain. However,
it would have to be pretty significant. I think at least from Vermonters in that respect, you know, especially the ones on the
we already know what you're saying.
And a lot of that stuff has remained unchanged. I don't expect it to change. It wouldn't be. All the fencing is there. The entrance drive, the east side of it is remaining basically natural. That's why we're not putting in sidewalk on the east side of the entrance drive. And then obviously the large outlot on the west side near the waterway is remaining untouched. I think it's 3.3 acres.
That's the mowed area by 41?
No.
No, not that far. Just as you come in on the entrance, the creek is on the left, and the detention area will be on the left, and some wetlands.
Yeah,
next to the driveway.
The western boundary effectively is the center line of the creek.
Yep.
So they actually have a large portion of that buffer from the center line up to the backs of some of their cottage homes that's remaining untouched.
And we will have an HOA that will maintain that entrance and both sides of the entrance in the retention areas.
If there's no park or anything with this project?
There is an outlot in the center portion, that dark green space in the center circle that is being deeded as an outlot in a park. I don't know, Jack, you can speak more to that than I can.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is, outlot B?
Yeah, that big center section.
Okay.
All nice heavily wooded area that we want to keep in that condition.
So I believe that was vetted during the zoning approval.
That's correct.
It says utility drainage easement, but you're gonna leave it all trees?
Yeah.
That's just really a blanket utility easement, because we got some storm sewer back there and whatnot.
It's not a retention pond though?
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. 2.2 acres, works for this property?
That was part of your PUD approval.
Okay, does anyone have any, questions about this item? Mr. Deutmeyer, any concerns?
None immediately.
Okay.
And we did change the name at the last meeting, from Oakwood to Oak Brook.
And I like Oak Brook, Jack, I like it. Your marketing department's to be commended.
Well, if somebody thinks there's a mall back there. Okay, this says review of legal advertisement for public hearing, that's already been done.
We had done that.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, building department, anything else on this item?
No, Nothing additional, I would just make it, contingent upon Don's notes in that letter.
Okay.
Was the public hearing closed at the last meeting?
Yes, it was.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any commissioners have any questions on this item?
Jack, you don't have any issues with what's being requested here? There is a lot.
No,
You're
it's,
good.
storm sewer stuff, some addresses, yeah, we'll get through it.
If the off chance that something, yeah, if the off chance something affects the site plan drastically, we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
But I don't
It's not
anticipate
gonna
that.
change the lot lines and the lot numbers in the street.
I guess the question is, what's drastically?
I'll let you know.
If I may, I would say drastic would be a shrinking of any of these lot sizes, because they were approved as a certain size based upon your PUD.
Yeah.
A major, if you're making one lot larger, I wouldn't consider that major, it's going outside of the smallest requested. But anything, a major change would be, you're approving 80 lots, and if they wanted to try and squeeze in 82, that's a change.
Yeah. But, yeah,
Yeah, the number of
If,
lots.
if we forget to put west, and we have to re-record it to put west on a street name, I would consider that
You'll get
minor.
to see this.
Clerical,
one more time.
clerical thing,
we get
clerical
to see
thing.
it at
We
final
have to
too.
completely remove,
Okay.
move the sewer
All
lines or.
So, I mean, if we
or
haven't made a
anything like
huge dent in this, by we have to come back from final plat, then
Okay.
Yeah,
You
we'll be
do
back
that.
for final
Yeah.
plat in
You're-
about 6 months, so.
Yeah, you're right, this is not final.
Yeah.
Okay, commissioners, John, Chuck, Bob, any questions?
No, no,
Questions?
no,
Three no's.
no.
Okay, Mr. Sharp?
No, here.
Everybody's good? All right, would anyone like to make a motion, regarding the request for preliminary plat approval for 80 lots and 2 outlot subdivision on, 10918 West 129th Avenue?
It's actually 81 lots, so I'm not sure.
Oh,
It's
no.
already-
I'm sorry, but I think we should say
Here
that.
we go.
The,
We're already squeezing another lot.
lot 81 is that.
Did we just skip a number
this
maybe?
single lot out here.
No, it was included, it's the lot on 129th.
Is that right? Because I see that tracks, that's lot 81.
I think it's 82.
It was always included, I think.
I thought there was a numbering of the lots, though, that made it 80, not 81.
Well, you got 80 and 79, 78, 77,
What,
and
81
81
was
is...
that special one,
Yeah.
right?
Wait,
You were gonna have
And
3
it's
on there or something,
my
Jack?
misunderstanding.
81,
It is 81.
81.
Okay, so it's just.
That's 81.
Yeah,
My
there's
apologies.
been no lot numbering change, there's been a lot numbering change, but there's not been any quantity change. Since the PUD.
It's 110 units. I
What's
put-
that?
It's 110 units, they do put.
The agenda from before
Was 81.
was on January 5th, it says 81 lot subdivision, and this one says 80.
And that was.
So I think it's a typo.
Yeah.
They're messing with you.
That's a typo.
Well,
I was making
He
sure
got
you paid
nervous, if I
attention.
come back with 81, you'll
That's
question.
major.
Major. Okay,
That was the example that was given.
the Zoomers had no more questions. Anybody here have any questions?
No, sir.
Very good. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the preliminary plat for an 81 lot subdivision and to include 2 outlots?
It'd be contingent on our January 18th letter.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for an 81 lot and 2 outlet subdivision contingent on Don's letter dated January 18th.
Second. Okay, got a motion by Heather, second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kernahan?
Yes,
Mr. Foreman?
yes,
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepfauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Item 8, Cedar Lake Ministries, Unit 2, final plat, 1 lot subdivision. Owner Cedar Lake Ministries, 13701 Lowerman Street, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is Brett Knoll, Executive Director, Cedar Lake Ministries, vicinity 8816 West 137th Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a 1 lot subdivision.
Hello, Jack Halls from DBG, representing petitioner this evening. Cedar Lake Ministries was in front of you over the course of the last year regarding the PUD. I'm sure you all recall that. One of the items that we obtained in that process was a preliminary plat approval for a one-lot subdivision, which is the remaining portion or the unplatted area of the conference grounds, and this is the final plat, which should wrap all of that up. Nathan Peterson is online, so you can say hi to him, and Bill Fredericks, one of the board members, is also in the room regarding this matter, so if you have any questions.
Okay, Don, are you,
We are good with it. The only note we had in our letter was once, you know, if and there's a site plan attributed to Unit 2, that they have to come back.
okay. Unit 2 is, for clarification, is, the open area in the
That's
woods?
correct. Mhm. All the area of the conference grounds that is currently not platted.
Okay, Chuck, John, Bob, do you have any questions?
No,
I think this is finally dialed in.
good.
Okay. You good with this, Mr. Sharp? All right. Let's see. Don said he's good. Mr. Deutmeyer?
I got nothing on this one.
Anything, okay. No sticky notes? Okay.
Thankfully, no.
All right, seems to me that, there are no questions.
It's wonderful.
It's very wonderful. No surprises, no questions. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion regarding the, Cedar Lake Ministries, Unit 2, final plat, one-lot subdivision? Petitioner for the, requesting a final plat approval for a one-lot subdivision. Would anyone like to make a motion on this item? Anyone in this room like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat for the one-lot subdivision.
Good motion by Heather, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
John Foreman. Okay, skip to Chuck Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stefbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
I'm back as well, my vote is yes.
Okay. Motion carries.
Nathan, if you want to say something, I see your hand raised.
Hey guys, it's Nate, and I just kind of wanted to say thank you. Obviously, we went around the horn a bunch on this, and a lot of people really chipped in to get this done, whether it be Rick, Jill, Jerry, Dave, everybody, Jack. I can't thank you enough for the help. But, you know, doing a PUD for, you know, an existing subdivision that's looking forward is a really hard thing to do, and something that there's not a instruction manual on. And so I know it took a while, but I just wanted to thank everybody for sticking with it, and I'm really happy that we finally got to this point.
So am I.
Yep.
So am I. And,
No, it was nice meeting you, good job, I'm glad it got approved.
Yeah.
and thumbs up to the mailbox project.
There you go.
Anybody who had anything to do with it. I know what and how, but I'll leave that alone. Okay.
You can thank him for that.
Yeah, thanks all for that.
I know how it happened. Okay, thanks, Nate.
Yep. See you guys.
Take care. Item 9, Singer, 13418 Wicker Avenue. This is final plat, owner petitioner Gerald Stinger, 4102 Cordell Cove, Fort Wayne. The vicinity is 13418 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a one-lot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Hulls from DBG, representing the Stinger, the Gerald Stinger Trust on this matter. In front of you previously for a zone change request and a preliminary plat, and we're wrapping that up with a final plat at this meeting.
Okay. Don, This is the cleanest thing we've done in a long time.
And no comments, only just a note that future site plan would have to come back.
Okay. Does that need to be mentioned in the motion?
No.
It's
Okay.
Just in the
It's
minutes.
understood.
It's in your zoning code, that has to be done.
Okay, does anybody, Zooming have any questions? Mr. Foreman, Mr. Becker, Mr. Carnahan?
No. Do not.
Okay, building department,
No comments?
all done?
All good?
Heather? John?
Sure.
Good. You're good? Okay. Mr. Austin? Oh, he's good. All right,
Good timing, though.
yeah. How does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, it's in his car. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion for item 9, 13418 Whitaker Avenue, final plat?
I'll make a motion to approve the petitioner's request for a final plat for a one-lot subdivision.
Okay, we have a motion by John Capora. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heather. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepfauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Item 10, this is resolution number 2024-04, zoning ordinance and zoning map. This is deferred from December 15th, 2021. I believe that this has not been totally reviewed by legal. I won't speak for legal, but I will jump to building comments at this point.
I redistributed the updated document today that Rick had updated after our last work session.
This was regarding the 35 and 30?
35 and 30 foot,
Okay.
changing that, in R2.
Okay,
And I believe the definition of improved was also modified.
okay.
Of an improved street.
All right, do the commissioners have any questions about this right now?
No, not now.
All right. Mr. Austin?
Thank you, apologize for being late. Hope Brian behaved himself.
He did a stellar job.
I had reports.
You always say that.
Concerns. My last discussion, I want to report this on your minute, on your record. My last discussion with the former town manager, Rick, was our attempt to identify what remained to be done from what you had reviewed and worked so hard on last year. And I talked with Jill briefly, very briefly today about this. And we will review our files. I'm told that I have the last document from Rick, or a last document, has the markings in it that reflect changes made as a consequence of your meetings. He used it, not a margin note format, but a strikeout underscore format. So I'm going to retrieve that out of our files, review it, and make sure it gets over here so distribution can take place, hard copy. And I'm thinking, as I saw some of the, during the course of proceedings, saw some of the ways that worked, that a relatively efficient meeting could yield the completion of the document. There have been emails exchanged between members about terms and provisions such as height restrictions and the like, that I think have resolved or resolved over a bit of time and dialogue find between you and some input from your interested citizens. So I'm thinking, and I'm hoping that you will consider the meeting in February to be light on public and heavy on ordinance. So perhaps we could get through it, get a recommendation ready for the continued public hearing. and get this to the town council and get it approved.
Hey, David, January sixth, Rick sent us an updated letter, or a zoning ordinance, and then also he had a few other, red lines, but, they were pretty vague, at best, and I think that's what you're referring to. Do you have a date as to what copy you're referring to?
I don't have it with me, John.
Okay.
And I suspect that what you have is similar to what I have, in that there was the last document, and, cleanup of, desks,
Yeah.
transition of matters, it probably was there and ready to go. It was a jump point.
Yeah, December 15th was the last document titled, and then on January 6th, he, made a few changes that we discussed at the December meeting, and he made those to that document.
So, John, I would agree with you. I think, that may well be what is being referred to as what I have also. And if it is, that's great, because we'll all have the same document. And going through efficiently the, sections of the zoning ordinance, changed or amended or modified or updated, could be relatively, simple and efficient. I do view.
Right, I mean, no matter what we do, even though we've worked on it diligently, this will be a work in progress, and we will find some errors possibly, and we'll have to make some modifications. So I would suggest, from a legal standpoint, that we have a boilerplate, how to fix something in the future going forward, quickly. But I think that we have a good working document that mirrors everything we've been discussing for years, not just a year. So I would like to make it move quicker, as quickly as possible, just so we can put this in the rearview mirror.
Again, may I suggest that at the February work study then, it be gone through kind of flip page style, making certain we don't miss anything, but making certain that what is marked reflects what you agreed on, and then to John's point, good point, let's get it moved on. There will be changes. There were changes to 496 for 30 years. There will be changes. And you'll learn it when the petitions come before you, and we're dealing with citizen matters and development projects and all that. DCA will find them out too.
Can we, at the work session, can we have those changes and modifications designated, so we don't have to go through every line of text?
Well, that was the final document Rick had sent you guys.
I think they are noted.
And then
They're all lower than Rick's, okay.
the document he sent you on January 6th had the changes that came out of the January 6th work session. And those are, highlighted as Rick does in a red type of font and underlined.
Okay.
If anyone would like a paper copy, I can provide it. This is the continued public hearing on this
It
matter,
is.
though.
Public
Are
hearing.
we continuing the public hearing to the work session
No.
then?
No.
So we
I would not recommend that. I would recommend tonight it be continued to the February public meeting, and that you designate your meeting, work study session, to go through the document with any changes. Gives you a couple weeks to look at everything.
But we went through this whole entire document, Mr. Austin. We've gone through this whole thing with Rick, and diligently, and the only thing that last popped up was the height, on the, some of the R2 heights, and he made those changes, I believe, in January 6th. So to try to go through this whole document, we're gonna be here in July. I mean, we have a document that we've been working on.
Yeah, John, that's what I was asking. If we can just hit the highlights, everybody has a little piece of this that needs to be discussed. No, going through this line by line, I won't do again.
At the work session.
And we don't need to.
We don't need to. We just need to hit the high points and roll. Your final product, can we have that in italicized changes, modifications?
Italicized.
Red ink, something?
I got that.
Okay, I know you do. Parentheses, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay, is everybody good with going through this at the February work session?
Yes, sir.
Zoning maps up on the board too, and there's a full-size print of it too, if you wanna see it. Pretty colorful.
I actually
Awful lot of
thought,
blues.
Yeah.
I actually thought that we had done all of this, and that
I do with it.
I had sat here for hours and hours rolling everybody else, and we went through this page by page.
I dropped off like
And
70
then
last week.
the last meeting with Rick, we had brought up a few things that needed to be changed, which he sent us an email highlighting the changes and saying, these are the changes you asked for, and we had agreed on everything else. I was all prepared to vote on it tonight. I don't understand why we can't.
Yeah, the only thing, I just perused, I'm sitting at my laptop, so I just cruised through it. And, one thing he has is under street, private, towards the end of the document, he has, it's page 153 or 159, he says, in red fonts, a local street that is not accepted for public use or maintenance, which provides vehicular and pedestrian access, period. Such street shall be, this is in red now, such street shall be improved to the town street construction standards in so far as its depth of stone, depth of asphalt binder, and depth of surface asphalt is concerned. So that's one red mark. And then a sentence still below, he has, such streets shall be improved to the town's construction standards insofar as depth stone, depth of asphalt binder, and depth of surface asphalt is concerned. Other than that, he has addressed the other things that we agreed upon. So, yeah, I'm of the same opinion as you, John. And Mr. Austin, I understand what you're saying, but, I mean, Rick spent a lot of time, we all spent a lot of time, and I think we have a working document.
I got to ask Mr. Austin, Mr. Foreman, is there some verbiage and language in here that needs to be, identified and cleared up?
How many pages is this document?
160-ish.
Yeah, probably there's one or two.
Okay. I don't know why one more pass is,
Listen,
problem.
you all did spend the time, John, you guys wanna get it done, go ahead and do it. Just know there'll be stuff to do along the way. It'll come up.
Yeah, and I think there's gonna be stuff to do if we wait a month.
If you got a burn to do it tonight, then you should.
I'm thinking we shouldn't.
You think we should or should not?
I don't think we should. If he's gonna go through this and.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to make the motion or not, Mr. Chairman, we can dope it out. But I think regardless if we don't extend it a month or two, in July, we'll still find an error here or there and make some mods. So I think we're going to be making some mods throughout the next year and beyond.
Your call,
Okay. I don't know why making sure, legal go through this. Hit the high points.
It's 2 weeks, what's 2 weeks at this point? It's taken us 18 months.
In everybody's agreement, 2 weeks is it.
Yes.
I agree with Heather, yeah.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to defer this item?
Mr.
Yes.
President, would we need to open the public hearing again if anyone happens to be here since this was continued?
Public hearing was continued. If you wanna solicit
Okay.
anyone who's here for it,
Okay.
make record.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Jill. Okay, regarding, resolution 2021-04 zoning ordinance and zoning map deferred from December 15th. Is there anyone here in remonstrance for or against this item? For or against? Last call? Okay, remonstrance is closed. Do I have a motion to defer this? Yeah, go ahead.
We're keeping the public hearing open now?
Yes, absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
This
I just
public
wanted to
hearing.
be transparent that we're not closing the public hearing.
No, we're not closing the public hearing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I know you asked for a motion to defer. I still like to make a motion to approve.
okay, well, I'm,
Favorable recommendation to the town council if it's a motion.
okay. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding item 10, the resolution, zoning ordinance and zoning map?
That is correct.
You'd like to make a motion?
I would.
Okay, Heather, make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to defer the, zoning ordinance and zoning map to our February 2nd meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Heather to defer this to February 2nd.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
No?
Mr. Foreman?
No.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stefbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
No.
Mr. Wilkenich?
Yes. Okay. So wait until February.
Yep. It's decided.
Okay, item 11, Perez, 13901 Lac Drive, preliminary plat.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
since we can see the finish line, we're standing on it almost, but the 2 weeks are gonna be taken here to put the final touches on it. If there are any comments, any question marks, any yellow stickies you wanna put on it, ask this is really a catch-all time.
Yeah.
There's a benefit in this 2 weeks, allowance for your final review.
There's some paragraphs that are a little concerning, so.
Concerning or wrong, or a typo, or a legal distance wrong, you know, whatever it is, this is a good time and a focus time.
Are you suggesting to, put our questions in emails to you?
No,
Okay.
send them to Joe Murr.
Okay.
So to confirm, the January 6th email is the most recent copy? Got it.
And if anyone wants a paper copy, we will be more than happy to print you one.
Save a tray, I'm good.
So, thank you, that'll get one last pass through the documents, 160-some pages,
Okay.
it's a lot.
Okay, okay, let's move on to item 11. Perez, 13901 Lac Drive. This is preliminary plat. Owner petitioner Ricardo Perez, 13901 Lac Drive. Cedar Lake Vicinities, 1309 Lac Drive, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a 2-lot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Halls from DBG, representing the petitioner this evening. Ricardo, the Perez's are here this evening also, if you have any questions to direct towards them. We are requesting a 2-lot subdivision. This parcel lies at the end of Binion Road at the intersection of Binion and Cedar Lake, near the outfall of Cedar Creek. There's currently a residence on this property. We are seeking to, what will ultimately be a demolition of that structure and 2 lots being developed there. Each of these lots will exceed your ordinance of exceeding 100 or B2, so that requires 100, or is it 90? We're getting here. It's 100 by 100. And these are 125 feet in width, and they exceed the size. We are at 0.87 and 0.92 acres. We discussed this with you previously, and so we're looking to hear what the public has to say on this matter, and then also to hear your comments.
Okay. I had a question last time, and I thought I asked it. However, I don't remember what the answer was. So the utility easement that runs what I'm going to call along the south side of this property, the proposed utility easement, this is a proposed 20-foot private drive and utility easement. So it ends at the Perez's southwest property line, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, what we see on here is the way it is. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Don, we have Dave, we have an 1892 document for Lac Drive?
Best I can tell.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so regarding those easements, we have provided ingress and egress, which is probably beyond what the limits of the existing conditions of that road, easement are, or access.
Okay. I think everybody's clear on, what the request is. I guess clarification on, the engineering portion of this. Don, do you have any comments on this right now?
Several. They
Okay.
have our December 20th letter. I know they've had a letter, they submitted something, I think, on the 11th. This kind of goes back to what the Schilling Distribution Center was, that the way it's platted right now kind of has to wait until we adopt the zoning ordinance. Because lot 2 technically doesn't have, you know,
Because we're back to this improved road thing?
platted, yeah,
Right.
platted public road.
We would request similar consideration that was given to the Schillings, on the previous project, today.
Because this one's a little more complicated though, I guess. Do we even have the other side of that sanitary sewer shop finally?
We do, actually, our crews were out there this morning, and obtained those, and, that easement, it's in the road, so, or excuse me, it's the drive, the Black Drive, it's in that, it was about a foot deep. So we know where.
You said 8 foot? You said it's a foot deep?
The rim.
Oh, okay,
Was
all right.
buried.
Okay, all right.
The sewer's more.
Thought you meant the sewer line.
Yes. So we know that it lies within our proposed easement at this point. I think the easements that we're proposing are more, they cover in greater detail than what any other easement document might have in place. I know there's members of the public here too, so we'd like to open the public hearing and hear what they have to say.
Okay. Mr. Austin, is there any more information regarding the Lac Drive?
No,
Ed?
this is a public hearing, let me make a record if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
The proofs of publication and the notices, the adjacent notice in order, the public hearing is properly being conducted. Record can reflect that, and I know nothing else in town's file, which I'm looking at, that it would be reflective of supplemental documents that Jack presented the last time he was here at work study. So,
Okay.
what you have is what you have. Okay, yours.
Don, anything else that concerns you?
No, it's just, it's unique. I mean, I think Jack and DBU done, you know, pretty much what, you know, should be done, given the age of some of the existing easements and, you know, some of their, you know, call it legalities and what they represent, I guess, to kind of be a catch-all in a way. We still have some minor comments, just looking over it now, like we want that easement better centered over the drive itself, and we obviously need to see that sanitary on there to make sure it's actually encompassing it. Without getting into their most recent one, I can't guarantee the comments we had in our December 20th letter have been addressed or not, but.
I can say that that drive is going to be removed and reconstructed as part of the Lot 2 home construction, so it will be rebuilt to any standards that the town has at the time and also placed in its proper location. So
And all the
that's why
utilities?
I kind of ignored that comment, is that it's really immaterial to the planning process.
Well, as we shift to that new zoning ordinance and the definition of improved road, even if it's private, there starts to become site plan implications for that as well. Because, you know, that was the recent revision, that it be basically built to town code, not necessarily width, but pavement section.
Yeah, and we understand that, and these will be individual buildings, individual lots. From your residential, you have a procedure for approving those through your building department, and, you know, inspections being done in a proper manner. Don does review the as-bills after the fact also, so we're confident that these things will be built. You know, lakefront property of this size is not going to be a structure that you would not want in town.
What is the homeowner's current plan with the existing house?
They understand that as a prerequisite for final plat and recording of that, because that is a document that creates these as two separate lots. That house would have to be removed prior to the town signing that document. And they have made accommodations for that.
Do we have a copy of that document, Jerry? Do
What?
we have a copy of that document?
What document?
The one you just referenced that has to be signed before second house can go up? Or is that-
It's an understanding that the town will hold the plat signatures until such time as that house comes down. Because that house,
An understanding?
so the town holds the authority by keeping the plat, and we can't record the document until that house is down, and they understand that.
Okay. You comfortable with that?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Well, the house is smack in the middle, right, and doesn't get you built without it coming down, correct?
Yes, I think it's, and Dave's reasonably concerned that if the document is recorded, now there's two lots with a house on it. And that, what I'm saying is that by the town not signing the plat, I can't record that document, so it can never become official. And so the town will hold the plat, even if we get final plat approval, it's not an official document until it's recorded. And that would be a contingency of your approval for final plat, that house needs to be removed before we're gonna sign that document.
Okay.
And they understand that.
Okay. And you understand what Don was talking about the sanitary line being in the roadway? Your comment from before?
It's just not in the roadway necessarily, but within the easement limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Within the easement?
Yeah.
All right, why don't you have a seat real quick?
Sure.
And, we'll get to the remonstrance, if there's any. Okay, at this time, regarding 13901 Lack Drive preliminary plat, request for a two-lot subdivision, is there anyone here who would like to speak on this matter, for or against? Any remonstrance, come to the microphone, please, state your name and address. For the record.
Absolutely, thank you. Chris Boyer, 13905, so I'm the exactly adjacent property to the Prezas. I'm not here to, I guess, stall the project. It's their property. They can certainly do what they want to do with the project, but I'm highly concerned with Lack Drive and what's going to happen with that. That is the absolute only legal access that I have to be able to get in and out. For me to sell my property, I would have to create something new if that turns into a private. I'm fine with it turning into a private, but as far as an easement goes, what kind of, plans are there so that the easement would remain open so that for the rest of my life, if I sell the property, somebody has access to get to the property.
Yep.
Also concerned with mail and trash. That is the same location I put that down at. So I'd have to come up with a new solution for that. Not sure whether the addresses would have to change if it turns to a private. The road behind our house is an alleyway, so it's not even a listed road. So, before we have final determination, I would just like to have some sort of finalization of what's going to happen with my property, and I can speak for the other two gentlemen back there at 13907 and 13909 as well. We just have concerns with access to our properties.
Okay, Mr. Austin, both sides of the lake seem to have their own little kryptonite, don't they?
It is Cedar Lake.
It is, it certainly is. Mr. Holes, your interpretation of that 1892 document that this was all private, Lack Drive, per property. Was that what your conclusion was, Don? Am I misunderstanding?
So it's our understanding that the documents that were granted by Mr. Binion provided access for the landowners as he sold the property from the east or north, south along the lake. He provided access for that person to go back up to Binion Road. So they have access along Lack Drive per that document.
And that document will remain.
And that document will remain. And moreover, this ingress, egress puts that on a platform, by Lac Drive was not defined as a specific location, it was at the bluff. We have located where Lac Drive currently exists and put an ingress, egress easement with similar provisions that that document has on the plat. So access remains.
And that will remain forever?
Yes.
Okay.
But what this document does do is it does not give the public access to Lac Drive, which I think you and all of the other adjacent owners
Totally fine with.
would be very concerned that the public not have access
Correct.
to Lac Drive.
Yeah, my two concerns are that, and then obviously if I go to resale, because I know when we first bought the property, the driveway itself was not on the plat survey, so we couldn't even get a mortgage until we had to have another survey company come out to show that there was actually a driveway going to a public road. You know, so if that public road becomes vacant and now it goes back to private, if I try to sell the property, am I now stuck in having to now go through lawyers and everything to try to re-show why the driveway was put in originally? But if you're saying the egress, egress, it's gonna be given to every house all the way along there, well, forever, you know, if I give it to my kids, we sell it, whatever, we have access, then we have no problem.
Yeah, Lac Drive seems to be a phenomenon that appears every 10 years or so.
It does, because 10 years ago, I think we tried to actually privatize it at that point, we're told we couldn't because it was public.
Now, I think the issue down there is there is a residence down there.
Yeah, and that's John, so yeah, you're right, so.
I think Bob has commented on that.
Yeah, there's two individuals that access their house. It's John at the very far point, and it's myself. Everybody else accesses it from the alleyway. And I think John and I are the only two that have trash service that gets picked up down there. I mean, we have workarounds for trash, and we have workarounds for the mailbox if we have to do that.
Okay.
So right now, his easement provision, basically definition, references all the PIN numbers going southwest, I guess. One of them's yours.
Right, we tied them to tax ID numbers, so that they're tied to the park, the access is tied to the park.
That's a question for you. Is that good, because PIN numbers change?
PIN numbers change for sure.
Do you reference the latest deed?
Well, I think everything ought to be modernized. I'm just sitting here thinking about that in terms of,
Remember, this was for purposes of a primary plat?
Yeah, well.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
So we
can
get done at the real deal.
Do you reference the current deed, recorded deed for each parcel?
Or the tax ID number.
So there's cross-reference.
So it carries with that deed to the next property owner.
But I also think tying in the 1892 land conveyance, all of that ought to be addressed here.
Yeah.
With this plan. We're gonna modernize it so it's simple and completely understandable as to your property right, property responsibilities, and what we should or should not be approving as a town for permits when that occurs, et cetera. So we get one shot to get this right.
Mr. Boyer, just to clarify too, the alley to the south, not Lac Drive, they're proposing it to be a completely private drive. So you would no longer have access to that.
He doesn't.
You don't
I
have
don't
it
have
now?
it right now.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, so many years ago, they decided to shut that off.
Okay.
Which is completely fine for the reasons that Rick told me why he was shutting that off at that point.
Yep.
So we have access through the alleyway going, I guess,
Going the
to
other
the
way.
northwest,
Yeah,
southwest, and then
Southwest.
out past, or through the subdivision.
yep, okay.
So,
Just wanted to make that
but the legal route was always out to
clear.
Lac Drive.
Yep.
So you have a little more homework to do regarding identifying these pieces of property on this cross-access agreement that Don was just questioning?
I guess that's a question.
Use the tax ID numbers, or what should he be using?
My surveyor suggested that this was the best way.
Yeah, it should be legal descriptions, if that's included in your deed, that's even
You
better.
can use the key or pin to, cross-reference the legal, but the legal trumps.
Yeah, I don't think PIN numbers enough.
I don't
We've changed PIN
Yeah.
numbers in this county before.
Okay, but regarding Mr. Boyer's concerns about access on the lakeside,
It is being preserved.
it's being preserved,
Yeah, we just, I think, have to dial in how it's being preserved.
so.
Perfect, great.
We're,
Appreciate it, thank you.
We're aware, and, you got the right guy doing it, I think.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it very much. And like I said, I fully support what Rick and Katie are trying to do, is just the access portion of it.
Yeah, this was a good project when I heard about it, and, I knew there'd be some challenges here and there, but.
Okay. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this item? 13901 Lac Drive, preliminary plat for the two-lot subdivision. Name and address for the record, please.
John Van Proyen, 13909 Lac Drive.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on the matter. If I could, one of the things I want to augment, and it's my understanding through Mr. Boyer that there was some discussion already with the Perez's about additional things we could do to privatize Lac Drive. And that's the piece that I would like to discuss, is actually getting a gate at the piece. In fact, if I can actually point, if I can use your map here a second. So it's my understanding that pretty much it's private from this point forward. And we would like to see a gate put here. And over, if you can scroll up a little bit here, there's at least 8 property owners. And you can see basically that the public street, of course, this doesn't really even exist. It's actually coming through as a gravel driveway today. But the public street actually ends here, is my understanding, at least from GIS. And what we'd like to see is that we would put a gate here and a gate there for the access of all of the homeowners. I would like the extra time to be able to contact all of them to get their approval on an easement agreement that we would actually have to privatize. Certainly would cover Mr. Boyer's needs to be able to say, I have access there. It could also be that he would also get prescription by easement to come back in this piece, because again, I'm here, Mr. Boyer's back over here, and I have a prescription, I have an easement to get to my home back here. He does not. Mr. Van Buren also is like me, he's got an easement for it. But I would like to say, let's just get it all cleared up, that Mr. Boyer can actually have possibly a formal easement, the same easement that the two of us have, to be able to come in this way. And at the same time with gates, if we get the approval, obviously if there's one person that says no, we're out. But if we have 8 people that all say, yes, I would like to privatize, then it's only a matter of working with the town to say, are we privatizing here? Are we getting a couple of other additional owners to say, yes, I would like to be part of that?
It seems to me, though, what you're suggesting is a totally separate item from what the Perez's are after.
The only concern that I have is that it would entail right at their entrance there. And that's the reason why I bring it up at this juncture, to say, in my view.
Go
ahead, Don.
Yeah, I agree with Jerry. I think it's a separate item. I don't think there would be anything to preclude you from putting the gate there, but I think that's separate.
That would be between the private.
Yeah, it would be a private owner.
Okay.
Because you may have to start cleaning up that easement all the way down. And that's outside of this scope, we'll call it this.
Yeah, I think it's a little outside the scope. And of course, those gates would have to be accessible by public works and fire and all that kind of stuff. But, I'm not thinking that, and so far, Lac Drive is private. That's been established?
Yes, so I think maybe one more person that I can address.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Regarding 13901 Lac Drive, would anyone else like to say anything on this item?
Good.
Okay, everybody, remonstrance good? Okay, remonstrance is closed. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, so, we anticipated many of these comments, from the public, and so, we have accommodated ingress and egress rights to the property owners that use Lac Drive currently for access, all the properties, even whether they have driveways on them or if the property is just on their property, including the properties that lie, in the subdivision that has public access. And my surveyor is the one who recommended we use the tax ID numbers, so I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, because tax ID numbers are official numbers. They do change, but they are kept, our record is kept at the county as to what the previous tax ID number was. So this document would be time-stamped, and they would be able to trace what properties benefited from that tax ID number call out. So, I think that's a matter that we can discuss and fix at a final plat. But I believe that, the intent on what we were trying to do there is sufficient.
So would your 1892 document,
I think the 1892 document is gonna be shown to give, so Mr. Boyer's property, when the guy who bought that property from Mr. Binion, he gave rights to Binion Road.
Right.
Only for him to exit, not for him to get, not for anybody else to come through it, but only for him to get out. Then the next guy down had rights to go across that property.
right,
But not further this way. No one had rights to go further that way. They all had rights to go that way. That's how, because they were written as he sold properties down the lake. And he might have reserved, and that's one of the things I'm a little unclear as to, did he reserve rights because he also developed that subdivision at the end. Did he reserve rights for those folks to go through or not?
we don't know that?
We don't know that. So what we're saying is that Lac Drive exists in a specific location, and there's certain people that benefit from the use of Lac Drive, and we're gonna give them ingress and egress rights, which is what they currently have. So we're saying, yes, there's probably other documents out there that say the same thing or similar things, but we're gonna say this for sure.
Well, the 1892 document regarding a tax ID number and things you were referring to, when somebody's looking for this stuff 100 years from now, whose way is gonna be more valid? Just finding an 1892 document that's accurate is pretty
Well,
pretty
that 1892 document is going to give rights to an individual to get out of their property.
Okay, so the 1892 document is based on tax ID numbers or legal descriptions, or what is it?
It is to a person and their assigns.
That's one of the problems is actually locating, like actually accurately locating where that easement sits, because it doesn't really reference anything.
It is a handwritten cursive document.
And it says it's based off of like the bluff, right?
It says along the bluff.
Yeah, so
So
it's
where is
kind
that?
of useless, and by recording a
Like
newer
that, along the
easement, it's a catch-all. in a way.
Right, we feel that the way, approaching it this way provides for a clear definition of what the access rights are and who they're to. And we feel it expands it to everyone who truly benefits from it.
But you're not
Clearly.
including the ones in the subdivision right now.
Yes, we are.
You are?
Yes, we are.
You only have 7 pin numbers on there.
No. Yes, we intend to give them to those folks down there, because they have rights down there.
People live on the lake.
People,
They live the water side of Lac Drive.
yep,
But people that are in the subdivision and not in the unsubdivided portion, you
Correct.
intend to give them rights? Okay.
correct.
That would be contrary to what Mr. Van Prine said.
Well, it's not contrary, and so I was gonna address his comment next.
Okay.
So it is a private drive, and, as such, there could be restrictions on that, such as a gate, if all of the property owners were inclined, but that would not necessarily be something that the plan commission would have to speak into. The placement of the gate would, because it would be considered a fence in the front yard, so you would have to grant approval for that through possibly a BZA process, but,
The lakeside really be the front yard?
It would have to be.
It would seem that way.
yeah, we're planning Binion
Address
Road
off Lac, even though it's private.
as the front road, so,
Okay.
but that would be an agreement, as Mr. Van Proyen talked about, getting the property owners on board.
Okay.
And there are lots of ways for that to happen.
Okay, I noticed, a strange look on your face. The, lakefront being the backyard all the time is always, something that makes me laugh. You're telling me Binion will be the front yard, and the lakeside will be the backyard.
Well, on this, your ordinance says that the front yard is determined by the public right-of-way. Am I mistaken on that matter as it relates to the lake?
So, public is not Black Drive.
Black Drive, Binion
Yeah.
is
Binion is.
up on the northeast corner.
Okay.
What are those properties addressed right now?
Black. They're addressed on Black.
And and I'm sorry, the second edition of Binions, is Black Drive public or private, where you're getting access?
GIS indicates it's
That is a
public.
subdivision, so that's public access there.
So would our public roadway then need to be vacated to be made private? And then we would no longer maintain it, therefore we would not plow it. We would maintain it. From the map view and this being new this evening, there's a lot of information. And making sure that one of them brought up garbage, ingress, egress, and utility easements don't include garbage.
Yeah, well,
Traditionally,
garbage truck
in my
would have a
mind-
rough time making the shortcut around back up through Binion.
So while we consider utilities, garbage is a service we contract with the company, but it is not a traditional utility
So-
in our town.
So, Mr. Austin, a movement or a motion regarding a preliminary plat for a two-lot subdivision would have, right now, have very little with the things we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes, correct? Because there's a lot of details to work out here.
There are a lot of details.
We have some, we have the real concept, we have another concept that is kind of separate.
When the foundation isn't understood, and I don't know that we understand the 1892 easement, some of the comments and positions tonight by Jack to you in presentation, I think that there's some listening to be done. I've been sitting there thinking about those easement instruments, for example, and I'm thinking that maybe we need the title company, your title company, to, one, reproduce and or interpret and tell us what it means, including what parcel is, and confirm what parcel would or is the subject of that 130-year-old easement. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's not effective, though. But I don't think...
And we wouldn't disagree with that. What we would be concerned about is that there is the potential that that document gives less rights to the property owners lying to the south. And then we might want to not give them as much rights as we currently are.
Well, it could go either way, so...
Yeah, it could.
It
could go either way.
Don't we need to know the truth?
Well, it's weird, the public portion of LAC, at least according to GIS, doesn't have any access because 140th isn't improved yet. So they have to come off the private section of LAC to the public section of LAC.
I don't disagree with that statement, but the improvement of public roads is not my petitioner's responsibility.
Right.
And the fact that there's public right-of-way and not roads also is not my petitioner's responsibility.
Well, that's what I was saying before regarding exactly what is here.
They have prescriptive rights?
Well, there's prescription here, for sure, to be talked about, but...
So I would argue that those PIN numbers, or however we're gonna recognize it, should be included in that.
Yeah,
They're not.
and to not be argumentative, we have said, we agree 100% with that, and we're saying Black Drive should have ingress and egress rights to those particular people, and that's what we're granting. So, I guess...
We're starting all over with what Mr. Binion did.
I guess I don't want to be in a position of, being unclear as to what I need to produce for you, so that I'm continually in front of you on this petition. And I think it's reasonable for us to say, what does the Plan Commission expect, so that we can move forward?
I would like to know where everybody's in their lane. That's what I'd like to know. Don has some concerns. However, what's in front of us right now is a preliminary plat for a two-lot subdivision. All these other things will have to be worked out, correct?
When?
Before or after, Jim?
Huh?
Before or after we approve it.
Well, this is preliminary.
Yeah,
And these things would have to be worked out before a final plat, wouldn't they?
Well, here we go again.
Well, so,
Primary, I'm sorry, Judge.
you were talking first, go ahead.
Thank you. Primary plat, preliminary plat is the substantive time of this process in this proceeding. So if you leave out details for resolution before final plat that are substantive and may affect property rights and or development activities, I don't think Jack disagrees with me about this. We may miss the opportunity to get that done correctly. And the final plat is typically a ministerial function under the 700 series, and you know, he comes in with the right plat, and it's clean, it's what it's supposed to be. All we've got is a rubber stamp.
Yep.
So now's the time to solve the problems.
Well, I'd like to make sure that we're staying in the Perez's project here.
Yeah, that's really what I'm trying to get at, is I don't disagree with the process, and I'm not necessarily pushing for a primary plat approval this evening. What I am asking for specifically is, what are the items that the Plan Commission or legal concerned about that I need to address, so that I can come back in a month and make this request and be relatively sure that I've addressed your concerns. So if you're concerned about something, I've heard access. Are you looking for?
I guess, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
Is it safe to assume we, the town of Cedar Lake, have been plowing these roads forever?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
At least 30 years
So-
since
so-
I lived there.
that's true.
So, Mr. Austin, from a legal standpoint, it's sort of like what we have across the street when Mr. Brannon wanted to do something and he had no access to get to his land because the guy across the street owned the road. Is that similar to this, or does each person actually own the road?
Each person owns the road.
Each person owns a piece of
Similar.
Lac Drive.
And that will change with the next zoning, with the zoning ordinance.
The good part about this, John, is the Perez's are property number one.
Right, and
So
they're also saying it's a road and we'll give you access.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess I'm confused as to,
Well, like I said, we're starting all over like Mr. Binion did.
I mean, it's clear to see what your folks want to do, but the legalities of how to get it there is what we're talking about here. Easement, legals, confirmation of rights and responsibilities, things that need to be built into a two-lot subdivision plat. Yeah, it can conceivably be construed as this thing being more than the Perez's, but we have to be awfully careful about the planning approval, because the town could find itself in a position where if we cut somebody off, or we eliminated somebody's access, or we caused what might be a diminution in value of their property, that we would find ourselves in legal straits. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to be in that position with you folks or with Jack and his folks at all. Clarity, though, is really needed. For example, I'm not certain any of you can make a decision on this type of thing. Jack can get us bigger size sheets. But the language.
Sorry, I drew that, and that was a tool for a work session only, sorry.
It's in the town file.
I know, I just was clarifying, I
Well,
Do you have this document? Because this is what was submitted from us.
It was a concept for a work session.
David,
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the yellow.
Yeah, and that's fine, that's fine.
it's in the meeting packet, I have the rest of the
So-
document.
Well,
So, Don-
anyway, having the right materials, getting the right review, and this is so Cedar Lake, it's a sophisticated parcel, it has a lot of nuances to it, and it needs to be right. They need it to be right so they can seal it and submit it. You need it to be right so that everybody's rights are preserved and maintained.
Well, it seems as though what Jack's saying is it's over, you know, they're going out of their way to continue the same kind of access. However, Don, do you have some concerns about what is in front of us right now?
I agree with what they're doing. I told it to Jack. I think they're taking the right steps to kind of have a catch-all to preserve the access to lots to the southwest. Right now, the only ones in that provision are the ones that are unsubdivided. It does not include the ones in Binion Second Edition that appear to use that as their only access point right now. In my opinion, that's a problem. I understand it's not the petitioner's, responsibility for an unimproved road in a subdivision that does exist, but it's a current condition, and that's what they've been using likely for the last, I don't know how many years this house has been there. So I think they have at least some prescriptive rights to that.
Yeah.
And if you cut them off, that's a problem. And then also, we need to figure out if PIN number is the right way to do it, or we want to actually reference recorded deeds.
I can tell you, I'll render the opinion now and I'll do it next time. We want the legal descriptions.
Okay.
Adding the pins as supplement to the legal for supplemental purposes.
So you want the legals of all the parcels on the face of the plat?
That are affected by lots 1 and 2 in your application.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, can do that.
And that would include the homes that are using Black Drive that don't have ownership of Black Drive.
Those are easy,
Okay.
because those are lot numbers.
Yeah, they have lot numbers.
You know, I mean, if all of this was a subdivision, it'd be super easy to do all that.
Could they reference the recorded document number with the deed that includes it versus putting the actual legal on there? It's going to get quite wordy.
We're talking about the ones that have lot numbers?
The one that don't have lot numbers.
Well,
Because those are going to be meets and bounds, there's going to be a lot of text on this plat then.
well, there'll be an addendum to this plan.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's gonna be a two-page plat for sure.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
So back to Jack's question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy, I've got those legals already.
You know what, you guys know what, he knows what he needs from you guys?
I'm not certain. My suggestion is that we meet at the deed size sheet, and we go over exactly what needs to be produced here in this office. And,
Sorry,
Prior
the
to-
heat turned on and I could barely hear you.
and outline what needs to be.
He'd like to have a meeting here.
Meeting upstairs at the lighthouse, he said.
I didn't say that.
Sure.
But only if Jack's paying.
I'll be there.
Only if you're paying.
It sounds like we need to defer this until we get more information.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that everybody was gonna bring the right information to the meeting.
Yep. So there's concerns about the ingress and access, I understand that. Are there any other concerns? Because when we do a title search, which I believe the presidents had done, the documents that we're talking about don't show up on title. We're providing them, and now they're becoming records that are being entered into title, but they're not showing up on title
Once
because.
they know, they have to pick it up.
Yeah, for sure, now they have to
Now
show
it's
them,
in the book.
but when you can't find them unless you stumble across them,
No, so nobody's saying thank you?
right.
Okay.
Well, I would say that we're also, yeah,
Well, you're finding some treasure, I'm quite sure.
yes.
I got a question.
Yes, Chuck?
All right, if this is gonna be a private road, is the town still gonna plow it? If not, who's gonna be responsible for maintaining the road and plowing it, consulting it?
Well, that's a wonderful question, because we still have, people who, would be, kind of trapped back there.
Yeah.
Don, what's your thoughts, immediate thoughts on that?
I mean, it's debatable if they should have been plowing it at all, but this isn't the only road like this in town that we plow.
Well-
That technically isn't in our inventory.
Well, Mr. Carnahan, I'm not gonna speak for him, but I hope he can hear me. He's mentioned Lack Drive and, servicing the people at the end of it, numerous times. And, I thought it was because, you know, they're there. And,
Yeah. I think it's more of a policy, just, you know, discussion to have if you continue doing it, which I think isn't really my place.
Yeah.
That should apply to all public roads or private roads then, correct?
Well, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot more.
Even though they're street signs, there's a lot of them.
We're not supposed to plow them,
Oh my.
legally speaking.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
all
my.
across the street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the town grounds.
Most of them
Yeah.
across the street. Okay,
Interesting.
do any of the commissioners have any questions or concerns about this? I mean, the whole project here seems to be as fluid and as thorough as I thought it would be.
I'd just like to make sure the remonstrators find out when the next meeting is gonna be. Are they notified again, or should we notify them?
Let's
February
continue the
2nd?
public- Let's continue the public hearing, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Consider that at least.
Yeah.
And then they'll know 2 weeks from now and then 4 weeks from now.
So, we're gonna defer this item, and between, well, let's see, if we defer this item, there'll be a meeting between now and then regarding these little details.
Yeah, I'd suggest we do it as soon as practical schedule.
Yeah, I'd like
so
to
you
do
can
that
give
prior to
Jack
the
some
next
time
study.
to do his.
Yeah.
He said he's got everything.
Yeah,
No, he doesn't.
our next work session is February 2nd, I mean, it would have to be next week.
Early next week.
So I didn't get to hear the answer. Will they still be plowed, or
We don't know.
who will be responsible for plowing salt in the road?
Chuck, I'm not sure anybody here can make that decision, but, I know your question has, no good answer. So, legally, Mr. Oshin, is this supposed to be plowed?
That's supposed to be plowed.
Okay. Mr. Oshin says it's not supposed to be plowed, Chuck. So, okay,
You got,
Don?
you got a question?
Oh, sorry.
So if it's gonna stop being plowed, we have mail service. 100% of the houses right now have mail service that gets put down there. So now the mail service is not gonna be able to come through or
Yeah, well,
delivery.
this is,
That's
these are the boomerangs.
that was a question we hoped had been asked. They're not gonna stop doing anything until we get to the bottom of this.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Legally speaking.
Legally speaking. Okay. John, do you have any concerns or questions about this?
No, I just gotta go home and get unconfused. Well, I'm headed down the same place.
Let's see. How many confused items is that? 10.
One big one.
Well, I hope you see that the petitioner is trying to accommodate the town and to
I think,
do the proper things for cleanup. You know, we've seen some things that, for, like we said, for access and other things like that that need to be addressed, and we want to take care of those matters. But we also do want to proceed with the project. We don't want to be in the same position in 6 months saying, what's next? So.
I'm not sure that, you know, there's any more lines to move, whether they be in the sand or in the cement. We need to make sure that access is legal and straight, and,
Yep. I
don't
can
get the
assure you that
impression
back in
that-
1892, they weren't thinking about the matters that you're thinking about.
No.
So,
No,
the documents
but
are
when
not, no.
but when that
They're not gonna
But
address
when somebody,
those
if
concerns.
somebody finds these documents in the future.
You know what, I can send them to you, and if you can read them.
No. Somebody's title
If they
company.
start using thou and thee and stuff, I'll be lost.
Yeah, there
So,
you go.
Yeah, okay,
So,
Don,
those are-
you got anything else Jack needs to bring to
Does the
the?
surveyor have to redo that?
Yeah.
I mean, under Rule 12, isn't that a surveyor's job? after-
He's done that already, actually. He's deciphered the whole thing, and we have a pretty good understanding that
Glenn do
we're
it?
actually being helpful
Glenn do it?
by what we're proposing.
He didn't answer. Glenn do this?
Glenn
Yeah.
do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
support Glenn.
Okay, anybody else have any questions about this item?
Did you vote on the deferral?
I was gonna make a motion.
Continue the public hearing and defer
Yeah.
the item.
Yeah, if someone would like to make a motion to continue the public hearing, please make that motion now. We'll just do it in two pieces.
I'll make a motion to defer the public hearing to February 2nd.
Continue the public hearing.
Continue. What did I say?
Deferral.
Oh, no, we're still
Okay, we
deferring.
got a motion by Mr. Sharp to continue the public hearing to February 2nd. Second by Heather. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stefbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker? Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries. Would anyone like to make a motion to, oh, well, I guess you have to ask. For what would you like to defer this item?
Oh, sure. I'd like to defer it to
Petitioner's requesting the deferral to February 2nd.
February 2nd, yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Got approval to defer to February 2nd by Mr. Kapora. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
No, I thought we just approved to continue it.
Continue to the
Continue
public
the
hearing,
public
Bob.
hearing.
We did it in two pieces. Okay, go ahead, continue, Ashley.
Mr. Foreman?
I guess I'm confused as well, so.
Well,
Are we,
we made a mo,
February 2nd is the work session, correct?
Yes.
yes.
The public hearing's gonna
Could
be
be-
open.
We made it, the first motion was to continue the public hearing,
To what date?
February 2nd.
Okay, because that's usually a work session,
It'll be a special public
Be
meeting.
a special.
not a public meeting.
Yeah, it'll be a special public meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
that's clear, that clears it up. My vote is yes.
Sorry about that. Okay, Ashley, continue.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stefbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries. Okay,
Thank you, we'll see you then.
Okay.
sounds good. Okay, is there any other public comment?
Can I say something?
Yeah, name and address for the record, please.
Dave Parkovus, 8125 Lakeshore Drive, Unit 3. So, you know, I've been here my whole life, and I remember standing in this room 20 years ago talking about Lack Drive. And I remember sitting on the other side of that desk 10 years ago talking about Lack Drive. And, I mean, there's been hundreds of hours in this room talked about Lack Drive, and there just really hasn't been a lot of action on Lack Drive. And I'm not here to insult anyone or anything like that, but at the rate Lack Drive's getting fixed, not much in the 20 years that I know about it, I mean, it just seems like it could go on forever. And I just want to say that the development here that's proposed isn't taking away rights from anybody, as long as the easement, you're good with the easement and things like that. But, I mean, nobody's trying to restrict anything or change anything, and there hasn't been a lot of action from the neighbors, and I apologize to the neighbors in advance, because I'm not trying to insinuate that they're not taking care of things, because it's a disaster, but nobody's formed a committee, nobody's came down in the last 20 years and said, hey, let's, well, I shouldn't say that, because I wasn't here, I could have missed something, but there's a lot of things that could be fixed with Lack Drive after this development. I mean, the things about making decisions on who's gonna plow it, and the garbage and the mail and things like that, and the people at the end of the street. So, I just wanna say one thing, and it just seems like there's an ongoing problem that we've had for the 20 years at least that I know about it, that seems to be getting lumped up with splitting a lot in two houses and two people having their dream and building new houses on it. And once again, all due respect to you guys and all your hard work, and I just wanted to say that, that's all. So.
Well, I don't think anybody here has an issue with this project. I think the preservation of what Mr. Binion started.
Sure.
And making sure that we're not creating any other problems is kind of what we're after at this point.
Absolutely.
And I'm not, personally, I'm not seeing any other problems other than some legalities with making sure that everybody at the other end
Sure.
is not, conflicted.
Okay. Dave, one more thing, I didn't mean to interrupt. That picture that you held up, that was a tool that I made to come in here at just a work session to ask, hey, what's the first step? And the first step was to get with Jill and go through the formal procedure. But
That's what he
so
brought in.
I don't know how you wound up with it, but I apologize.
The document was in the town.
I understand, but,
So I was using it, Dave.
and I just did it as a rough sketch, like it is. Sorry.
I apologize.
So, okay. Anyone else, public comment? Anyone? Okay. Any commissioners have any issues?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone?
I have one.
Yes.
With the discussion of the zoning ordinance at your next work session, would you want to consider doing a 6 o'clock, 6 to 7 item, yes or no?
I don't think that's a bad idea. Does anybody have any conflict with that?
Hold our regular work session at 7?
Yep.
Fine by me.
Yeah, that's fine.
That works.
Okay.
Well, I have a question. When does
Yeah.
the town manager start?
7.
What's his name?
Chris Bilotto.
Chris Bilotto. Jerry, could you check with Bob and see if he has a copy of the zoning ordinance?
Bob Carnahan, are you there?
I mailed it to him.
I don't, yeah.
Bob Carnahan?
Yeah,
Hey, do you have a copy of the ordinance?
yeah, Jill had sent me a copy.
Okay, all right. Very good. Thanks, Bob.
Joe, would you give me a?
You're welcome.
Okay, since there's nothing else, I'm gonna call this meeting adjourned.